You are not afraid of investing, you're just afraid of losing everything that you've worked so hard for. There was probably a point to where you knew about investing, but you just didn't act on it. And it's not because you didn't want to, but it's because you just didn't know where it fit within your lifestyle. And that's okay, because to be honest, I was in the same boat. I didn't grow up with the resources that I now know is available out here. I didn't have a financial advisor that broke down financial planning, or friends that were talking about stocks, or even people that I went to school with that was talking about building wealth. And even fast forwarding to now and going back to a few years ago, I was afraid of putting my own money into the market. And most likely you probably feel that same way too, because starting over or just learning about investing feels very complicated and risky. And despite doing your research online or watching YouTube videos or reading certain books, it can feel very overwhelming from the start. And so instead of making the wrong move, you just choose to make no move, which could cost you a lot more than you may realize. But don't worry, that's exactly why I created this video, so that I can show you how to get over the fear of investing and how to shift your mindset so that you can actually move forward. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's start out and cover why investing feels so scary. First off, investing feels risky because we all have so many responsibilities: bills, rent, utilities, student loans, entertainment money, and so many other things. And because you are a responsible human being, you look at your bank account and you think, oh my gosh, I can't even afford to invest anything. And as you look through your scheduled payments through your budget, you think to yourself, I cannot afford to lose this at all. And at that point, investing any type of money feels more like danger than it does an opportunity. And in your mind, it feels like one mistake could erase years of progress. And while you should be cautious about where your money is going, the financial system was created to make you fearful of investing. And back then, we're all taught to save money, avoid losing it, and protecting it at all costs. Imagine that mindset that we were all taught, and combining that with watching financial news and watching the markets crash. And while you're watching the stock market crash, you're also watching videos on YouTube of people that are losing their money. And because we are human beings, your brain is doing exactly what it needs to do. It's protecting itself. And even though you may understand investing logically, your brain doesn't trust it emotionally. And that emotional fear is what keeps a lot of people stuck. You probably didn't know this, but there is a cost of waiting, and that's referred to as opportunity cost. In other words, it costs you more to invest than it does if you don't invest. And at a certain point, as you go through your life, over the time period of months or even years, you realize that your money is just sitting there and it's not moving. Just like as I alluded to earlier, you have your money sitting in a savings account, and that savings account is sitting at a large institution that's paying you only 1% a year. And while it's sitting at 1%, we haven't even talked about inflation that may be sitting at 3 or 4%. And then you do the math, you're really losing money. Or you may look at other people that's building financial momentum while you're just sitting there and still preparing. And trust me, that may sound a little harsh, but I was the same exact way just a few years ago. The reason I remember this so vividly is because there was one point to where it was 2 a.m. in the morning and my pillow was soaked, thinking that I was falling behind. And while you're still preparing, if it hasn't hit you yet, it will hit you at 2 a.m. and you're thinking to yourself, I am not losing money, but I also am not moving forward either. And that's a dangerous place to be. There's a common reason why most people feel stuck, and that's called analysis paralysis. And that simply means that a lot of people respond by overthinking it more and more. And that means that people watch more videos or do more research or read more books or listen to more podcasts. And you know what that means? They're just doing more waiting. They're waiting until they're fully ready. And let me tell you a secret. You're never going to be fully ready. Life is going to keep happening no matter what you do. And as I've experienced the same thing back then, some good insight is that you gain more confidence just by doing. And let me also tell you about risk. It's not something that you eliminate, but it's something that you choose. Basically saying that you can choose to be uncomfortable now or choose to be behind later. And once you finally accept that, that's when things really start to change. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to start without feeling like you're gambling. So many people come up to me and say, Josh, what's the difference between investing and gambling? After I get through this part, it'll basically answer your question. Here's the thing, you don't need to go all in, you don't need to invest in individual stocks, and you don't need to know everything about investing. If this is the first video that you've seen on my channel and you haven't browsed the other videos, I'm gonna give you some action steps that you can take away for right now. First off, if you're starting from scratch, you need to do 3 things. You need to start off with one book, one podcast, and then one YouTube channel. One book I'd recommend is reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. One podcast I'd recommend is watching Market Mondays from the Earn Your Leisure guys. And obviously one channel I'd recommend is watching Money Talks Media. I'd challenge you with sticking with that plan for at least a few months, and you'll see how much progress you'll make over time, because you're not getting confused by different perspectives watching 20 different podcasts or listening to 10 different YouTube videos or reading 5 different books. Alright, now second, when it comes to investing, start with a small amount of money that if you were to lose it, it wouldn't change your life. And then focus on consistency, not perfection, invest on a schedule, and most importantly, keep it simple. And what I mean is by choosing to invest in broad index funds or ETFs. And by choosing those investment types, that's what lowers your risk, but also gives you the opportunity to invest into the market. At the same time, while the market is doing the heavy lifting, you're also gaining more confidence inside of your own self because you're learning the process a lot easier. And just like what I said earlier, confidence comes from doing and not over researching the market before you get in. And now that you have one book, one podcast, and one channel recommendation, you now have the tools enough to get started. There's going to be one day where it hits you and you realize that your perspective starts to change. Okay, now let's wrap this up and tell you what changes when you start. Once you start investing, your perspective completely changes. You stop seeing money as something you need to protect and start seeing it as something you need to put to work. As you put it to work, you begin to see how it compounds over time, just like how $25,000 compounds way faster than $10,000. And just like how $50,000 compounds way faster than $25,000. And you can keep going and going with the scenarios. Since I've been in banking for a while now, I begin to see trends in how companies manage and allocate their money over time. Some of the trends that I've seen over time is how they track every single dollar, what comes in and what goes out. Something else that I've seen is how they allocate dollars to go towards the appropriate fund. Like they say this amount of money goes to this initiative and this amount of money goes to this other initiative. And the last thing that I've seen is how they always have their money working for them. Just like how you may have your money sitting in a high yield savings account, companies are doing the same thing by having their money sitting in accounts that are generating interest. And what you should do is take those same principles and apply it to your life, even if you may not have the same amount of money as these big companies do. And let me tell you this, I do want to make this clear that if you feel like you're stuck, you're not the only one, because we all feel it. The hesitation is real, the overthinking is real, and most definitely the fear is real as well. It took me some time to get over the fear as well, and quite frankly, the shift really happened when I started working within corporate America, specifically within banking. But I also want to give you some reassurance that you're not behind because you don't know enough. You are behind because you're waiting until you feel absolutely 100% ready. And if you're waiting to feel 100% ready, you're never going to invest in the first place. If you don't take anything else from this video, it's to start today. You don't have to have the perfect situation, just go over your budget, see what you can handle, and start today. And if you keep waiting, it doesn't eliminate the fear, it just delays your progress that you could have been doing all along. You see, the thing about fear is it doesn't go away before you start, it goes away after you do. And the main takeaway for this video is you don't need to feel ready before you start, you just need to take action. And the people that you've seen investing all this time, they were never really ready whenever they started as well. But for you in your life, what you need to do is you need to start small enough so that fear doesn't stop you. Focus on consistency over confidence and action over perfection. And trust me, action is what creates clarity, and by blending that clarity with your continuous learning, that's how you elevate to the next level. And how I know is because once I was sitting in your same exact seat, I was afraid to invest, afraid to take that first move, and afraid of losing everything. And now you have the tools and resources and knowledge to begin with your investing journey. As always, keep me updated with your progress. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.